My name's Anna Grace and I love my neighborhood. The transition into the Binghamton neighborhood started for me when my parents and I went to go see Shane Claiborne speak at Caritas. That really touched my parents, and in the car they asked me what I would think of if we moved to a neighborhood like Binghamton, and I immediately said yes. After the Shane Claiborne talk, I just felt like my parents and we had to do something. The most challenging part of the transition for me was probably just how different it looked from my old neighborhood. There were a lot of different races, and it was a lot dirtier, and the houses were a lot smaller. Our house was a lot smaller too. We went from a 2-story house to a 1-story house with 2 bedrooms, and we made an office into my brother's bedroom, and they used a curtain for a door. I thought there'd be like a lot of rap around, like blaring out of the cars, but it turns out there's a lot of mariachi around. There's a pack of wild dogs that run around, and we're pretty sure it ate my cat because we haven't seen her in a while. The most challenging part for me was just probably getting used to my new neighborhood, but now I'm used to it and it's my new normal, and I wouldn't change anything about it. The greatest blessing in the move probably for me was the relationships I now have an opportunity to build. Like, I can go to the park 2 houses down from my house and just play with kids there, and sometimes I put on little plays with my neighbors, and we've done Cinderella and Junie B. Jones. And we've probably done those plays like 20 times, but every time they just want to keep doing them, even when there's not even an audience. There are 2 neighbors in particular that I really love. One little girl's name is Bianca, and she's 5 years old. And every time she sees me, she just comes out and gives me a hug no matter where she is. And then there's one little neighbor, her name's Rosaline, and she lives next door, and she's only 2 years old, and she speaks no English except hi. And so she just comes over and she just smiles at every single thing I say, even though she doesn't understand a word of it. The biggest challenge probably has to be myself. Like, a lot of times I worry about what my peers are going to think when I tell them that I live in the hood or I live in Binghamton because of its reputation and its diversity. But I've never been made fun of, and usually when I tell my peers that, they actually think it's really cool. A lot of my peers don't really understand why I'm doing it, and sometimes they're not exactly sure where Binghamton is. One of my friends thought that I was moving to a hotel like the Hampton Inn. The blessing of being a teenager in the midst of diversity probably has to be the opportunities. I can walk 4 doors down and go to this church where they have this thing called REP, which stands for Refugee Empowerment Program. It's a tutoring place that helps refugees learn English and kids get help with their homework. My neighborhood has taught me so much about God, but probably the biggest thing it's taught me is that you can find a little bit of Jesus in everyone. If I was standing on my street a year ago and I saw a drunk guy waddling around and passed out in my yard, I probably would have been nervous. Or if I saw a really big tall guy hovering around, I probably would have been scared of him. But now I know that drunk guy's name is Marvin. He loves crocheting pot holders and blankets, and he plays the piano at 3 different churches beautifully. And that guy hovering around, his name is Germany, and he's looking for odd jobs so he can get enough money to live. He's a high school dropout, and right now he's looking to get into the Hope Works program so he can get himself a real job. Moving to Binghamton isn't for everyone, but loving your neighbor is a command for everyone. I would encourage people to really get to know their neighbors. When you get to know your neighbors, you'll be able to meet their needs. There's this guy, David Scott, and he lives in our neighborhood. He just moved here. He was in prison from ages 17 to 63. And when we first met him, we went into his house and he had absolutely nothing. And so we brought him a mattress and some sheets for the night, and now he has a TV, a refrigerator, kitchen appliances, all because people just met him and knew that he needed something. My name is Anna Grace, and I am a restorer.